Finally, it's time for our review of the MSC Seashore.
And you know we're going to be very honest with you on this because that's how we roll. Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Marshall.
And welcome back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. On our channel, we share cruise ships, tips, and trips. This video is all about ships, a particular ship, the MSC Seashore. And we're here to provide you with a very honest view of our assessment.
Yeah, we came in with a very open mind. We did get a great deal. We went with another couple, family, so that was a first. So we were pretty excited, and getting on board went smoothly, so we had the highest of hopes.
So first, let's talk about the ship itself. Now, like you said, when we first got on board, it was like, oh, this is nice. So you come in and you can see like that forum area. Everything looks a little razzle dazzle. Everything's new and shiny. And I would say the ship itself is in very good condition.
Yes, there's a ton of glass. It's all very shiny tile and other surfaces, a lot of chrome. And you walk through the forum on that first floor when you enter, and you see all this chocolate, chocolatier stuff. It's just like, it screams elegance, and you're thinking, wow, this is a good deal and a great ship. Let's keep going.
Yeah. There are also a lot of pools and hot tubs on board. There was like a place for the kids, the water feature stuff, and I think the ship overall, I think, is very well designed.
Yeah, they spread the pools out. I think the full-size pools were on 3 different decks, spanning maybe 10 different decks, so you really could spread out. And the same thing with the hot tubs.
Hot tubs were everywhere.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Now, I will let you know, some of those hot tubs were not exactly hot. We'll call them lukewarm tubs, but you get what you get, and there were plenty to find a warm one. As we talk about pools on many decks, I will say this ship was tall. It had 19 full decks, and it did have smart elevators, but I'm going to give it a ding because those smart elevators, whether it was the signage or the people weren't reading all the signs, they weren't really using them, and it really gummed up the elevators more than any other ship I've been on.
And I would say also like the area in front of the elevators, when you've got a large crowd waiting for elevators, it caused a lot of congestion there in front of the elevators. So not great in that way.
I mean, there were some times I felt like a sword was needed, like cutting your way through the jungle of people to get past the elevators.
And some of it was maybe the layout a little confusing. In some of them, like, we had to go walk through a bunch of like cabin hallways to get to some of the public areas. So that seemed a little confusing, and I could see, a person like me getting lost.
Yeah, I had the same feeling when we went to that special Aria class sun deck. That was on deck 19. And you take the elevators up there and you go out, and then you got to go through a door, 2 separate doors through different cabin hallways to get to the sun deck area. It just seemed a little disjointed.
Yeah. But the gym and the spa were quite spacious and I would say elegant, especially the spa, of course.
Yeah, both places were elegant, and because of the size, as you mentioned, never felt crowded, and it was really enjoyable.
And the promenade too. The outdoor promenade was spacious.
Yeah, on that deck, that's the largest promenade that I've seen on a ship, and it included hot tubs, and in the back you had a pool area with the infinity pools out the back. So walking around that promenade, and we're not talking about the upper pool decks, just down below, it had a different feel and vibe. They even had parties in the evening on that promenade deck.
Yeah, it was nice. So the ship overall, I think, was 2 thumbs up from my perspective.
Yeah, it got a high rating.
Yeah. So now let's move on to food and dining, because those are important. You
And
gotta
let's-
eat a few times a day.
It's really important, and I'm gonna like blow the lead. It was not good.
Not great.
Not what we were expecting.
Now, there were some things that were good. For example, our wait staff in our evening dining room was Sheila and Anne, and they were fantastic. I loved our wait staff.
Yeah, I agree. And in the last night, they put on a little dance, and they invited us to dance with them. So it was a party atmosphere among friends and family.
Yeah, they were really, really sweet every night.
So the staff was a plus. The basic food on the main dining room menu was okay. Some was good. Some of it was good. Some of it was fair. It just didn't shine. When sometimes you go on a cruise ship and the main dining room just kind of makes you want to just go back all the time. It was the people, the staff. It wasn't the food that was drawing us in every evening.
For sure. My sister and brother-in-law do eat meat, even though we don't. And I will say that they had difficulty finding any cut of meat from any animal that was cooked well. It sort of seemed like, my sister said, like every piece of meat was boiled. I don't know. It's been years since we've eaten meat, but I will say it didn't look very appetizing.
No.
And I also noticed that there weren't a lot of vegan or vegetarian options. Always on Royal Caribbean's menus, we're very used to having at least 2 vegan appetizers, 2 vegan or vegetarian main courses, and then at least 1 vegan dessert. And that just was not the case on MSC. And I even asked if there was a different menu for those options, and they said no.
Right. One plus for the Seashore is there were 5 specialty restaurants. So we didn't partake in it, but we did go look at them, look at the menus. So they had Mexican, a steakhouse, a sushi place, and some other restaurants. All looked really good. It is an upcharge, but they did look good and people were really enjoying it.
That being said, however, the only 2 free options for food were free, meaning included in the price of the fare, is the buffet and the main dining room, which, I'm sorry, that's just, in today's world in 2025, I just feel like you need more free options than that. To even just get an ice cream on the pool deck was an upcharge, which Royal Caribbean and other cruise lines just have the soft serve ice cream just right there for free. There's so many other options too, like whether it's a little taco stand or a little fish and chip station or something. There are lots of free options, pizza, blah, 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 on other cruise lines. This was, to me, just ridiculous.
And it's the size of the ship. We've sailed ships that are half the size, and there's not a ton of free options, but there's usually 1 or 2 interspersed throughout the ship besides the buffet. So if you were on a lower deck, you wouldn't have to take that elevator that you really had to wait forever to get to the buffet and then bring it back down.
Now let's talk about the buffet, because
Let me get you ready for this.
I hate to use the word hate because it's such a strong word, but there were 2 things I hated on this cruise ship. One of them we'll talk about later. Right now, I hated the buffet. I'm sorry, but it was narrow. The food options were just not that great. I don't think I'm a difficult person to please with food, but it just was not good.
Yeah, our brother-in-law kept on using the word mess hall. And I'm like, yeah, no. And then the longer we were on that ship and the amount of lines you had to wait for, because there weren't these stations, it was kind of this one long line. He was right. So, look, I get it. I know being on a cruise is better than not being on a cruise, but this was my least favorite buffet that we've been on now over 20 cruises.
Yeah, for sure.
While we're talking about the buffet and how it was set up and the food, I'm afraid I've got to do another ding. There was limited staff to clear the plates, to wash down where people were at.
Another reason to call it a mess hall.
And that mess, yes, it was definitely messy. So, we're comparing it to Carnival, to Royal, and it seemed woefully understaffed.
Yeah, the stuff stayed on the table a long time. It wasn't cleared. And there was just trash and half-eaten food everywhere.
Yeah, and, let us know in the comments, are we way off on this? That most times if you're sitting there for 15, 20 minutes, if somebody comes up, a staff person may ask you if you want a drink or can I clear a plate? Is that just unrealistic expectations? Because that never happened on this cruise and seems to always happen on the other cruises.
Now, if David were talking about this, our brother-in-law, he would have a whole list of things that he didn't like. He didn't like the coffee. He didn't like the temperature of the coffee. He didn't like... There would be a very long video of all the things he did not like related to food and beverage. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, let's just add the dishes stacked up on the side
Yes.
and not be... there's a lot of things that he was pointing out that I can't not agree with.
Yeah, you can't argue with it.
Let's move on to the overall experience. And I know we've been kind of negative and we may have a few more negative things, but I'm going to give a positive. I thought the entertainment on the seashore was really good.
Very good.
The main theater, the Madison Theater, had some really nice shows, a lot of excitement, entertainment, and it was built in a way that you felt very close to the stage. It wasn't like the folks were up high and away. So I give them 2 nods to that. But I also liked in the back of the ship Le Cabaret Rouge,
Yes.
which is a nod to France, and they had variety shows, and they did a lot of things back there.
Karaoke. Yeah.
In a very moody, sort of vibey way.
Yeah.
Different,
that was fun.
Yeah, different than the front, the Madison Theater. So it was good. And there were a lot of different other stages and areas that you could find musicians and other entertainment going on.
I would say the room, too, was fine. If you haven't seen our room tour, you should go check that out. We had a nice balcony. Yeah. We had a decent room. Everything seemed new. The bathroom was a very tight squeeze.
Yes.
But other than that, I thought the room itself was perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. Again, not harping too much on the negative, but unfortunately, your sister and David, I'm not saying they broke it, but the handle to the balcony came off and the refrigerator was locked.
That's
and
right, yeah.
There were a few things, but having adjoining balcony rooms was really a special thing to make it one larger balcony.
Also, our room attendant, Ryan, was super, super nice, but it did always seem like he had too much to do and not enough time to do it. He always seemed rushed and maybe like a little frazzled, maybe.
Yeah, I think nice and frazzled is how I would describe him.
Nice.
Frazzled. 2 words I've never used before in one sentence.
Poor guy. I just always felt bad for him.
Continuing with the experience, I have to call out the onboard app. It just was clunky, didn't always update. A plus that they had the ability to send messages to folks who were on the app, but you almost had to log off to log in again to update those messages. So with 4 of us sailing together, it was a struggle to use the app.
Yeah.
Still great to have information on there, but it wasn't really refreshing. So I'm not giving it a big plus.
In fact, my sister texted me and said, "The MSC app sucks. Put that in your video."
Yeah, I feel like I'm really ragging on it, but we'd show you that. But once you're off the ship, the app's useless. So it doesn't maintain your points or the different cruises or all the other things that a lot of the other cruise line apps do right now. So they've got to up their game when it comes to the app.
Yeah. The other thing that they need to up their game on, this is the second thing that although I'm hesitant to use the word hate, I have to. I hate their internet situation. I had pre-purchased an internet package because I knew I needed to work. Okay, so I logged on, everything was fine. Then I went to go switch to use my phone, and I had no internet because I had logged on with my laptop, and there was nothing. I could not log on with my phone. There was nothing anywhere to switch devices or blah, blah, blah. So I looked on my laptop, I searched MSC, internet, blah, blah, blah. Well, according to my research, they said MSC's internet stuff sucks. You have to purchase per device. So because I had already logged on with my laptop, they registered that device on their network, and then I could not use my phone at all unless I purchased another internet package. So I said, well, this can't be right. I'm going to go down and talk to them. We have to find out if this is true or not. So I think you had purchased.
I had the same issue.
Yeah, so you had purchased it for your phone. So we had one phone and then my laptop. So we went down there with both devices, went to the internet desk people. There was a man who was working the desk. He was at the same time helpful and rude. And he did explain to us that it is per device. And they register the hardware address of your device on their internet system, and then it is by device. So I had to purchase multiple devices. You purchased multiple devices. So all told, we spent hundreds of dollars.
All told, we've got some good things, and we've had some, dare I say, showstoppers or eye openers on this trip, on this cruise. So overall, what do you think? And will we go again? Will you go again?
Me? I don't think so. I mean, just the two things that I hated are pretty strong feelings inside me. So, like, why would we?
Right. Right.
What about you?
If we were doing an inside room, balcony, or regular room like we had, I don't know if the lower price is really worth the lower quality in the areas we were talking about. You could twist my arm and maybe get me to try the yacht club. That's their suite level. You can get it much cheaper right now than Royal or Carnival suites. And then you may have more free areas to eat. You may have, I think you get internet package. So
how many devices?
I think 2 each, which would take care of it. So the bottom line is I'm going to say no right now for taking a regular cruise. If there was like a great deal on the yacht club suite class, I'd try to convince you to go.
Yeah, you're going to twist my arm, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we don't have anything planned yet, but I'll twist your arm.
Okay, well, that's our honest review of the MSC Seashore.
And yacht club aside, let us know if you think we should try it again. Maybe it was just a bad one. We'll see. Okay, take care.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.